What up? It's your man Noah, man. We back for the SNT Podcast, the intersection of sports and culture. I got some good fellas with me. AC's with me, AD's with me, MES down the bottom. What's up, fellas? How y'all feeling?
What's up?
Yes,
Doing
sir.
all right. Can't complain.
You guys already know, man. Tap into the movement. Make sure you get the merch, rep the gang properly. Follow us across all social media. SNT Sports, sitandtalksports.com. Check us out on Clubhouse. Shout out to Smooth. Shout out to all the guys over there in Clubhouse. Hold us down. Check us out on YouTube for all the prior shows. And let's get to it, man. First and foremost, fellas, we're going to start this off the right way. This really doesn't have much to do with sports, but I felt this heavy on my heart, man. My guy AD has officially gained his master's. I want to make sure that you get your flowers here with your dogs on the podcast. We need an absolute round of applause for AD. My brother, I'm proud of you. We love you. Continue setting the standard. Continue motivating. Continue inspiring these young dudes to go and do the right thing. Much love. Big respect to you, AD, on your masters. You already know, man.
Appreciate it, fellas. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, fellas, we had an eventful weekend in sports. A lot of things happened. We got to unpack a lot of things, man. I don't even know where to start, man. The roots of this thing are in Boston, so we're going to have to start in Boston. Something happened in Boston this weekend, and I've been seeing a lot of mixed messages about it, a lot of mixed feelings about it. Kevin Garnett had his jersey retired in Boston. Man, I don't think I've ever seen so much, back and forth about if a player's jersey deserved to be retired in that particular city. Personally, I didn't understand why his jersey was retired here. So we're gonna open up the floor. We got a few Celtics guys in here. We got some just brilliant sports minds. So we're gonna get into it. AC, I know where you stand. I'm gonna start with Les, man. Les is a longtime Celtics fan. How did you feel about this? Was it warranted? Should his jersey have been retired here? Talk to me about that.
A few things can be true. I don't think he should have got his jersey retired. That's just me. I don't think he's been here long enough. There's the argument that he changed the culture and all this other stuff. He helped bring number 17. Okay, I'll give him that. But he hasn't been here long enough. And I think the Celtics has a tradition of retiring numbers that shouldn't be retired. From Cedric Maxwell, from Dennis Johnson, in my humble opinion, Kevin Garnett, I think if you're going to retire a number in any sport, it should be the best of the best of the best of that franchise who did the most for that franchise.
Right. That's fair.
And that's just where I stand. Am I happy for Kevin Garnett? Yeah. Am I happy that the whole thing happened? I'm happy about that. That's cool. It's a good look. But then again, to keep everything a buck, I'm not even a fan of Kevin Garnett. I'm really not. I've never been a fan of Kevin Garnett. No, I he's a great player.
Okay.
But I always felt he knows how to be Kevin Garnett to certain people, if you know what I mean. No, he knows who to be Kevin Garnett with and who not to be Kevin Garnett with. And I've never been a fan of that.
I've heard that before. I've definitely heard that before. AD, someone who's had many milestones on the basketball court yourself. How'd you feel about that, man? Was it warranted? Was it forced? How you feel about that? I know you're the guy too. But I know you're gonna keep it a thou wow.
Yeah, my personal opinion, he shouldn't have got his jersey retired in Boston. I get the culture, the chip, and all that, but he only played 6 years here. I think he averaged maybe 15-8 in 6 years here. I mean, if you want to compare it to some other Celtics members who are in there, I mean, he does have better numbers than some of those folks who are retired.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I don't think his jersey should have been retired in Boston. And it's a crying shame that Minnesota won't retire his jersey. He's one of 7 players in NBA history who's the all-time leader in every category.
Right.
And because management and him don't see eye to eye, that is delayed. Maybe for his sake, I hope that his jersey getting retired in Boston will force Minnesota, who should have been retired to his jersey,
Right,
um, to make it happen.
right.
But to answer the question, nah, KG shouldn't have had his jersey retired in Boston.
That's an interesting point, AD. I didn't know that Minnesota wasn't either willing to or just not prepared to.
So, what it goes down to, Noah, is before KG left, the management tried to say KG tanked it. You know what I mean? He
Mm,
um he had a so-called hamstring injury, and KG sat out like the last like 14 games. They wasn't going to the playoffs, so he basically said he tanked it, and KG didn't like that, and I thought they got over it when KG went back to Mini, but it actually got worse because then the business side of it got in because KG wants to be an owner of a team,
right.
and the first team he tried to get involved with was Minnesota.
Of course. That
Um,
doesn't make sense.
and that's where they're bumping heads at.
Mm,
Not only when in 07, 08 when he left, but then in like 2020 when he returned, or whenever that his last year was, like
right.
and he's getting penalized for that, and the NBA need to step in because there's no way he shouldn't have his jersey retired, even a statue in Minnesota.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
All,
And
all, all fair points, AD. I didn't know a lot of that shit. You just reminded me. I forgot he went back. He was there with some of the young dudes.
you're right. He went back there for Flip. You know what I
Right.
mean? Right
Yeah.
before right before Flip Saunders died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He went there to kind of be a mentor to Cat to Big Cat. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
I definitely remember that now that you bring it up, man. Man, like I said, stuff like this, and I think this is where a lot of us sports fans and just anyone involved in the sports world, I think it gets convoluted sometimes because we're not able to kind of separate our personal feelings against the facts. Like when you look at the facts make it more than compelling to say that Kevin Garnett's jersey should be retired in the city of Minnesota. Excuse me. But when you get the personal stuff involved and you make it less about what he did and make it about your relationship with him, it's a slight, and it's not just a slight to KG. It's a slight to NBA basketball fans. It's definitely a slight to the people of Minnesota. It's definitely a slight to anyone involved with that career. You know what I mean? It's one of the most historic careers. Obviously, being one of the young guys to come out in high school and actually flourish. That's it's not right. I mean, again, I don't personally believe the number should be retired in Boston, but it should be. His jersey absolutely should be retired somewhere, and of course, that's somewhere being Minnesota. AC, I know you and I share similar views on this, but please expound.
Well, first of all, I want to point out that I did say that Kevin Garnett was probably the second or third best player in the NBA in 2008, and you guys scoffed. So I can preface my comments by saying I do believe his first season in Boston was absolutely incredible. He was the best defensive player in the league. He changed the offense of the Celtics. That little jumper that he had that year was incredible. But having said that, that was the peak. From there, he went down. He every other year, even though if you look at, and this is why I hate a lot of stat guys. If you look at the stats, it's going to say All Star, All Star, All Star, All Star, All Star. But anybody who watched those games the following years knows that he was not Kevin. He was not the player that he was that first year. So in 2008, they won the title. In the very next year, they went 27-2 to start off the year, and then Doc Rivers started to tank it. Where Ray Allen is on record as saying that that's what they were doing. They were waiting for the playoffs. But Garnett got hurt, so he got hurt in '09. They lose in the second round. He plays sporadically the very next year. They make the finals, and I felt once again Doc kind of choked it away with some of this stuff. They had a good game plan, let Kobe shoot, which he almost shot the Lakers out of it. He did, in fact,
He
but Perk
definitely
got
did.
hit. But Perk got hurt, and then the next couple years, Garnett went lower and lower. And you mentioned 15-8. Those are Al Horford numbers. This dude put up an Al Horford career after that first year, and Al Horford's number is not going up in the rafters. Now, it's very cool to talk about him and what he did, but there is no team that has gotten more out of one freaking title than that '08 Celtics team. They weren't a dynasty. They didn't grow a bunch of, it wasn't a team that just came together organically. It was one underachiever, a 500 player in Paul Pierce, and then the two very good individual players in Allen and Garnett coming together. They won one title. He won one title, and then he went steadily down the next couple of years to the point that they were unceremoniously traded. As far as Minnesota, yes, his number should be retired there. I disagree about the statue and all the rest. He didn't do anything. He didn't win. He didn't go to the finals.
The reason why I said statue, I think that all time franchise leaders should have a statue. That's
of a trash franchise that was an expansion. Like
that's not
by default.
AC, you're taking it too deep, brother. I'm not going by records. I don't care about records. I'm going off because you're in the NBA and you are known as the best player for that franchise. You deserve a statue. That's just my personal opinion.
So like on the Hornets, like same thing with Garnett. Who should have? Are we giving statues to somebody? The best player on the Kings, the best player on the Hornets, best player on those teams. You know what I mean?
But I still think there's a degree of separation even with that because Kevin Garnett, like AD mentioned, is one of 7 players ever to lead a franchise in every major statistical category across the board.
Yeah.
When you're one of 7 ever in a 76-year-old industry or business, that deserves special acknowledgement. You understand?
I think he should get it acknowledged by having his jersey retired. Exactly. I think that's the acknowledgement right there. As far as Boston, though, to stay on topic, far as Boston, there is no freaking way that number should be in the rafters. It's almost like if you're going to retire his number, retire Rondo's number, retire Ray Allen's number, retire Perk's number. Just give that whole one title team extra kudos for whatever because they did what they're supposed to do. I think Ray Allen broke the 3-point at the time that he retired as a Celtic. He was the all-time leader in 3 points made. So why not throw his number up there? He did something that nobody else did.
KG said he's next. KG said
I turned off. I did after they lost the game and cost me money. I turned it off. I didn't watch the ceremony.
No, I told you about betting on Boston. I told you about that. You got to stop betting too hard.
I bet the straight money line. I didn't even bet the points.
So to add, may I add to Aaron for a second?
Hold on, let me get my piece off because we're going to move on from this after you speak. I agree with the consensus. I'm not necessarily the biggest KG fan, but I'm a KG fan. Simply just him being him, playing hard, playing both sides of the ball, being one of those guys that just did a little bit of everything. I mean, AD, which Olympics was it when he was there and they tucked the footage when he was beating everybody one-on-one?
Oh no, I got that live. I got that footage when he won the one-on-one battle when it was Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, one-on-one 4 courts.
Yeah, I mean, from a skill set, you know what I mean. I know we are pretty critical against some of the guys who are just purely about the aesthetic and the skill set. But even just from a skill set point of view, man, KG played a beautiful brand of basketball. He did things the right way. He played hard on both ends. But I mean, I made the analogy yesterday. To acknowledge KG in Boston is the equivalent to me of LA acknowledging Anthony Davis. Because at this point, they've had very similar tenures. They came, won a ring in their first year. KG missed over 100 games when he was a Celtic. In the 5 years and change he was there, he missed over 100 basketball games, more than a full season worth of games. Obviously, AD's missed a bunch of games as well. Chip in their first year, decline, sporadic play, injuries. And then when you put it in that perspective, it makes it a lot more difficult because the Lakers are nowhere. No one in the Lakers brass is saying, yeah, this guy number 3, that jersey's going up there based on what we've seen from him thus far. And if you can draw and see all the comparisons between KG in Boston and AD in LA, it makes it a little more, a little easier to be more skeptical of it. Les, I'm gonna let you close this up, but all in all, man, I mean, I'm all for dudes getting their flowers. I just think he got them in the wrong city. Unless you can close us out here.
Definitely.
See, what the problem, the real problem here is it looks like we're shitting on Garnett, and we're not, because like you said, he
I
should
don't think
get his
anyone.
credit.
I don't think
Well,
anyone shit on him.
oh, the Yahoos are gonna say we shitted on him. The Pink Hats and all them dudes are gonna say we shitted on him.
Hmm.
But
Right.
the analogy you made, the comparison you made, I thought was actually a perfect one. And I agree with literally almost everything Aaron said, but one thing. And the reason this is happening is Wick Grossbeck is a brilliant salesman. I could see a sales pitch from a mile away.
Right.
This is a sales pitch to the fans, to the Yahoos, to the Pink Hats, and these are things that people do to try and keep the crowd buzzing and getting the selling tickets and get more jersey sales and things like that.
Right.
Because you're right, he great player, did a lot for Boston that year. He helped change and everything, but it was downhill since then. And when is this going to stop? When is the owner going to focus more on not to forget the fans on winning a championship? When is that going to be the main focus?
Hold on. Let's pump your brakes. Like, these Boston fans, they get ahead of themselves. I got a real advantage.
Oh God. I told you.
No, but I'll close this up with this, man. It was nice to see some of that false bravado or some of that, that what do they call it, the toxic masculine. It was nice to see some of that shut off, and Ray Allen could be there and celebrating that moment, and to see him embrace KG, because not for nothing, what they did wouldn't happen without either one of them dudes. You know what I mean? It took that collective, and if we're gonna stand on this moment and acknowledge this brother for this, you can't do it without acknowledging Ray Allen. Shouts to Ray for putting his pride and his ego aside and showing up for KG. Shouts to KG for recognizing Ray Allen properly in the fashion and just coming together and embracing and letting some of that foolishness go. Them brothers is pushing 50, man. So that was a nice touch. I will say that. I don't know how I feel about KG saying Ray Allen is next, but I guess shit, if KG can be retired in Boston, why can't Ray, right?
Why not? They gave Isaiah Thomas a freaking video.
For his
Never mind.
29-point season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna keep it in New England, kinda. We're gonna keep it in New England, kinda. He's back. He's back. The man who made Gillette his home for 20 years, the most decorated NFL football player in the history of the league. Tom Brady spent about 6 weeks at home with his wife and 3 kids and said, man, fuck this. I'd rather run away from Aaron Donald. I'm coming back. Brady out of retirement less than 2 months after calling it. Fellas, the GOAT is back. Spin the mic, hear about it. AC, I believe you said he was coming. Did you say he was going to come back?
Yeah, I said that he's probably going to take a little bit. The consensus was he was going to try to get to San Francisco, but I think what I heard was that Tampa Bay strong-armed him and said, you ain't going there. You're under contract with us.
Right.
I think he's there. There's a video. It's a great video. I don't know if I posted it, but he happened to be in Manchester yesterday when he made the announcement. So he was in Manchester and he's talking to Cristiano Ronaldo. And Cristiano Ronaldo, he's talking to them with his kids and everything. And Ronaldo says, hey, so you're done, huh? You retired from football. And Brady goes just like that. And then about 20 minutes later, he makes the announcement. Because, of course, these are two of the most famous people on the face of the planet. Everybody saw that video. And then, of course, it was all speculated. He's the greatest player in the history of team sports. I don't back off of that. It is absolutely fantastic that he's coming back. I think what this signals, and I haven't seen odds on it yet, but I went on Caesars to look yesterday. It's not there. I think this signals the end for Bruce Arenas, and I would love to make money off that when he's fired. Because there's no way that Brady's coming back and he's the coach.
Bruce Arians.
Arians.
So he's under contract.
Yeah,
so what? It doesn't matter.
That is an interesting take.
AC,
doesn't matter.
AC,
There's no way that he's the coach of the football team next year.
AC went from 20, like before Brady announced his retirement, it was 20-1. Now they're 10-1. Odds to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I saw that. They're plus 750 to win the Super Bowl now. They went from 2,500 on Caesars to plus 750. But there's you normally can bet on who's going to get fired, which coach is going to get fired. Arians, it's not up yet. There's no book on it yet. There's no action on it yet. But I would put good money on the fact that this dude is gone. He was talking shit when Brady retired. He was saying all kinds of stuff. You could tell they didn't like him. He blew the playoff game. There's no way he's the coach. There's no way. Impossible.
I almost want to bet you on that.
I'll take your money. I don't care. I'll take that action. We could do it informally. I don't mind. It doesn't have to be in a sports book. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'll take your money. Oh, man. AD, then Les. The greatest pilgrim. Greatest pilgrim's back, AD.
That man about to lose with Giselle, man. That nigga bugging. That man bugging, dog. I mean, I'm happy as a fan that he's coming back because he's like, I just feel like he got so much left in the tank. I mean,
he was the MVP. Yep.
Right. We're talking about a man who led the league in passing yards and touchdowns at 44.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was interesting to see somebody post. I think it was Dick Johnson. Shout out to my guy Dick Johnson. He posted that he thought it was horrible. It was horrible to come out yesterday and say that he was coming back to football, and it was actually a great idea. And the reason why it was a great idea because today was the start of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Recruit.
Right. That was like, we know Brady's strategic, and that was strategic. Like, you're right, AC, because I definitely seen when he was after Ronaldo had the hat trick and he was on the field with him, and I seen that. I didn't know what the words were, but I seen that face that Brady made, like
yep.
I definitely seen that face, and I mean, like I said, as a fan, like, I want to. It's crazy to say this, but I want to see a 45-year-old man play. Like, I think he still has a lot in the tank, and that's obvious. I mean, the man just threw for over 5,000 yards and over 40 touchdowns. His arm is still strong, and he's smart. And he's smart. And if I was the Buccaneers, I would just get those pieces, and make sure that you get some more offensive linemen because they already lost one offensive lineman to Cincinnati.
We just took the starting guard about an hour ago.
See, so
with the Giants.
I believe though, it's Brady. They're gonna come play for Brady.
Right, and I mean, not for nothing, Brady still gets the ball out in sub 2.5 seconds, so he doesn't need the greatest offensive line in the world because he makes his offensive line better.
Right.
Les, Brady is back. Talk to me.
I'm sad and happy at the same time. I wanted to see him go out on top, and I didn't want to see him actually go over the cliff. But what do I know? I thought when Bill didn't want to re-sign him, that was the right move because of Brady's age, and I was totally wrong. But I think it's great for football. I think what AD said, it was very calculated, and I also think who gives a bleep when he said it, because he's Brady and he's the GOAT, and mountains don't move for hills, so he's gonna do what he wants to do, however he wants to do it, and he's gonna make it work. And that's really it. There's really not much else to say on that.
And you know what else too, and what I forgot to point out, you got to look at too. Talk about Brady being calculating with Russell Wilson being traded to Denver. The NFC sucks. He doesn't have to worry about anybody. He can literally get to the Super Bowl. The only person they have to worry about is Rodgers, and the idiot Packers just paid him $50 million, so they're going to suck too.
He doesn't have to worry about the defending champion.
What?
He didn't have to worry about the defending champions.
Please, no.
They did his season.
No. They don't. Stafford's about to get paid, and that team. I mean, they did what they set out to accomplish. That team mortgaged everything for this title this year. You already have their coach talking about retirement. They're over the cap. They're all over the place. Brady can get through that. They should have beat them last year. They're not worried about Matthew
pretty tough
Stafford
for
and
teams to
them
repeat
people.
in the
I mean,
NFL.
they beat them. They beat them during the regular season. Then came into their house and beat them convincingly.
No, they beat the Tampa Bay coach. They didn't beat Brady because
They-
Brady did what he was supposed to do and tied the game. They beat the Tampa Bay coach. They didn't beat Brady.
Brady played like dog shit for 3.5 quarters.
But then he played like Brady. So NFC sucks. The NFC is terrible,
And not to
and that's
mention,
a
though,
good
it's
move.
tough for
Yo,
teams to repeat and get back to the Super Bowl.
I just gotta ask AC. Yo, what do you have against Sean McVay? Like seriously.
Nothing. I said he did say that he was thinking about retiring. I said that what you guys said was a great point. In the time that he's been there, he's got to 2 Super Bowls. I think that what they did isn't how I would build a team. It happened to work. They should not have won that game in Tampa Bay. And I think he got lucky. I don't think they repeat. I think it's one of those things where it was a flash in the bottle, and that's it for them. That's it. Matthew Stafford. Oh my God.
I mean, I don't think flashing the barrel is appropriate. How he's been to more Super Bowls in the last 5 years than any coach in the league other than Andy Reid.
They've peaked. That's it. Downhill from here.
But their trajectory has been this since he's been. I mean, nonetheless, we're not going to make this about Sean McVay.
No.
I'm going to say a few things. I believe had Tom Brady won the league MVP, which he had a very strong case at doing so, I think he stays retired. I don't knowing maniacal competitors like that, leaving in that way could not sit well with Brady. I mean, we all know Brady, right? It's been 20 plus years. We grew up with this dude. Very much Jordan-like, very much Kobe-like in the competitive nature. To walk away from the game that he's widely recognized as the best player ever, not at some kind of peak, not the MVP, not the champ, nothing. Playoff loss at home. I don't think that's a really fair ending for the story that he's written for himself. I knew he was coming back just simply on that. You don't have the most storied career ever and then leave like that. You know, bomb out. You know, I think it's better if you just don't make the playoffs and the run is just over and you can walk off into the sunset. But to be right there and play really bad. He played really fucking bad in that game. And of course they lost at home. And then he watched the team that beat him go and win the Super Bowl. And then he watched his only real competition in the league in terms of just talent and production. He watched Aaron win his 4th MVP. He was at home eating that avocado ice cream, grinding his fucking teeth. That's not the Tom Brady we know. Tom Brady motherfucker probably couldn't sleep. That's the kind. I mean, shit. I know as competitive as I am, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. And I'm not fucking Tom Brady. I think it's great for football. I think it's great for football to have him back. I think the NFC. I mean, there's a few more pieces that have to land. You know, as far as I know, young boy Murray in Arizona is asking for $80 million a year, and I don't think he stays in Arizona. and I mean, this is, as y'all can see, you know, this is what I do. This is my perfect segue into another quarterback that needs a home, who's actually meeting with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints this week. Mr. Deshaun Watson has been not charged or not. He isn't being pursued legally for any of the accusations. Again, I don't know what happened. I've never believed it. It's never sat right on my spirit, on my heart. It's never made sense to me why he would do something like that. Obviously, we are all men who love women and respect women and have daughters and have, you know, mothers and whatnot. And if the situation was beyond what we know, man, I hope those young women who were affected by this, I wish them the best, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. I don't believe that young brother went ahead and did those things that he was accused of. None of it made sense. Those women collectively couldn't afford that attorney. That attorney's retainer is more than them women making 6 months. So to conveniently have this high-powered attorney that these women can't afford pursuing your star quarterback, who is actually the attorney is the CEO of the Houston Texans, their neighbors. And if that doesn't scream collusion to you after Watson made some pretty public statements about the team, I don't know what will. But again, I won't speculate. I will talk on what I know. What I do know is that Deshaun Watson is not going to be charged with any of these accusations. The man is scheduled to be traded onto a team of his choosing in the next few weeks. Now the free agency is here. I want to spend the mic, man, and really kind of unpack this because um, it's going to kind of segue into a few other conversations. I don't know if you guys remember the young brother from Baylor. I forget his first name. Oakman was his last name. One of the best defensive, phenoms that we've seen at the D1
The
level.
kid from Atlanta. From Atlanta.
I don't know where he's from. He played for Baylor.
Mm.
I mean, the kid had a neck about this fucking big. He was wearing the shirt up with like his midriff out like Zeke.
Yeah.
Kid is a specimen. Absolute defensive specimen. Was slated to be a lottery pick. Got accused of sexual assault. And was just actually, we'll unpack this in a second. I want to talk about Watson, then we'll kind of get into that because that's a long conversation. AD, talk to me about Mr. Deshaun Watson, national champion, and now a free man.
I'm happy for him. I mean, when your name is getting slandered, slandered in the media like that, and at first it started with one, and then it ended up with 22 potential victims. With nothing concrete over these last years of evidence for these supposedly victims. So I'm glad that he got off. I'm mad and sad that he had to go through that. I hope he's mentally okay. You know, having something that you love and you work for your whole life being taken away from you for something that you know that you're innocent for. I couldn't imagine. Um, I hope he lands in a great situation for himself. Um, and I wish him good luck.
Right, absolutely. Less than AC.
I'm happy and I'm angry at the same time. This, like you said, this never made sense to begin with. And I don't want to, I'm angry because I'm going to come off like I don't want to give women their due or believe them or whatever the case may be. And anyone that knows me knows that's not the case. In fact, I might even go over the top sometimes with it. Um, but in this situation, it made zero sense. Number one, from anything I've ever read, Tony Busby is a scumbag. You know, that's the lawyer that took up the case for these women in Houston. He's the neighbor of the owner, CEO, whatever. He's the neighbor of these dudes. He lives literally right next door. Now, Deshaun Watson did everything quietly the way a professional should to get out of Houston. And when they figured out that he wasn't going to stop, they found a way to slander this man's name. Do you know how powerful it is that this didn't go to court actually, compared to if it did go to court? This went to a grand jury and the grand jury shot it down, which means a lot. That means that the evidence was extremely weak. It means there was probably suspicion by the people listening to this case. It probably even meant they didn't think it made any sense. Now, I personally think that these people who all colluded, in my opinion, I don't have any proof of that, but it looks like they colluded to slander this man, to ruin his career, to ruin his reputation,
His life.
his life. And I think, and we've spoke about this in the group a few times, because as much as I'm for defending women when they are taken advantage of, abused, stalked, killed, and all these things that happen to black women in America, I'm also want the women that are really in these situations to be defended from women like this in this situation where they now are going to make it harder for when this really happens to someone. When this shit really starts to happen to someone, people are going to be like, oh, well, look at Deshaun Watson. These women and this lawyer potentially has ruined that for those women who deserve to be defended properly. So I think every woman and Tony Busby should all be taken to task, should all be taken to court. Files should be charged and all types of shit. And they should be jailed and fined Tony Busby should not be allowed to be a lawyer in the state of Texas ever again. And if you look into Tony Busby, you'll see that he potentially is a high price ambulance chaser. So I'll just leave it at that. It might come off away, but I feel like this is a total injustice to women that really do need help. And these motherfuckers ruined it for women who are really being abused and taken advantage of and getting groped and things like that nature.
And
that's all I gotta say.
And that works twofold, right, Les? Because I mean, as men, especially as black men, the accusation is the indictment. The accusation is the indictment. I've dealt with this in my family, where a woman lied on a family member of mine and essentially ruined his life. It's 6 or 7 years later, and we're still fighting. And she's off living her best life. I believe in every facet of life. If we run on governing, we make laws, we have legislation, we have the proper channels. When we don't want someone to do something, we put penalties in place. Clearly, the penalties for these accusations and these false accusations are simply just not stern enough. They're not harsh enough, and that's why the system continues to fail and fail everyone involved. Fail the women who actually need them, fail the men who are being accused without just due. And the cycle continues to just perpetuate. It's not fair. Like I said, this really resonates with me because I live this. I paid attorneys and legal fees for a family member of mine who went through this, only to have the woman not even show up to court anymore, years and years later. So I can only imagine what it's like for that brother who's worked his whole life to have this moment and have it snatched away from him to the point where we haven't seen that brother with his head up in 2 years. The man can't make a statement. The man can't. For what? For what? For allegations? At what point does the government step in and make this a less attractive option for people? You start putting parameters in place where you say, okay, this is what you do, and we can prove that you're lying, and we can prove that you're just, colluding, or whatever the case is. You do time, not just a little bit of time. Do some real time. I guarantee you start seeing a lot less of this shit. When the punishment for ruining someone's life, when the punishment actually fits the bill, you're going to get less and less of whatever the action is, right? The entire thing is just really sad. Prayers, of course, to everyone involved, especially Deshaun Watson. Hopefully that brother, his family, and his loved ones, and I'm not sure if the brother's got children, but can only imagine what they're going through. Me and my family, we dealt with that, without the cameras in our faces and without it being on ESPN every couple of days and weeks. It's a disgusting situation, man. And then he's supposed to come back out here and hold his head high and act like he didn't live the last. And I mean, not for nothing, he's still relatively young. What's Deshaun Watson, 20, 25, 26?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
And he lost a season of football, Noah.
Right.
And who's going to hold the Houston
nobody
team accountable? Who's going to hold the NFL accountable with all the PIs they have under their dollar? Nobody. They don't know what's going on. I guarantee you they know what's going on.
Of course.
They always know what's going on.
I mean, but that's the problem that that we as sports fans we overlook sometimes, where we forget that these are billion-dollar industries. And of course, y'all know what I do for a living. Whenever you're dealing with billions, you're dealing with corruption. They're parallels. AC, talk to us about the Deshaun Watson situation.
I mean, I've commented on it a few times. I think it goes both ways. I mean, all of us here have played sports in different levels: Division I, Division II, Division III, semi-pro. I've been in locker rooms with guys, and I'm 100% positive that we all know a dog. Either you're the dog or you know a dude who's the dog, who has done some dog shit to a woman. I'm not talking about rape or anything like that. I'm talking about a dude who might, throw some game at a girl and then treat her bad afterward or what have you. To me, I think it's very clear that Deshaun Watson is definitely in that dog category. Do I think he assaulted these women? Absolutely not. I think he's young, relatively, he's a young, rich, good-looking dude. He's in Houston. He's taking advantage of that position in life. And I think what happened was, He's getting a massage. He does what he does. The women either go with it or not. They see an opportunity afterward, after the fact. So I don't absolve him of everything, first of all, because there's no way that many people, to be able to put yourself in that position and that many women can say something. Like when it was really, I think the case was over when they got to the deposition, they all took the fifth. How you take the fifth and you're making the complaint. So it's all right to say that nonsense in the civil case, but I think their lawyer advised them, yo, this is the big time. Don't lie under oath. So just take the fifth. And I think it should have been dismissed right there. The second part of that is it is an absolute joke that in 2022, the laws have not caught up, whether it be family court, whether it be laws about men and things. If you're going to make an accusation like this, we should not know that it's Deshaun Watson. If you're going to make this accusation and you're able to remain in anonymity, then Deshaun Watson, we should not know until he's found convicted or indicted or something beyond just he said, she said. I don't think it's right. The process that this happened to, like Lester said, anybody who's seen an episode of Law and Order knows that it's easy as hell to be indicted. The fact that this did not even get past the grand jury, in Texas, so these people probably have a grudge against Deshaun Watson because he's leaving their football team. Those people are crazy about football. They build $30 million stadiums for their high school teams. So these people, this jury pool, this grand jury pool probably has a very good reason to have a grudge against Deshaun Watson, and they still didn't indict him. That I think is very, very telling. But on the personal note, to have that many, to put yourself in that situation, knowing who you are, as a highly visible 24, 25-year-old at the time, black man in that state, he definitely owns some culpability. I don't go, oh, he's not indicted, so look, he's vindicated. I definitely disagree with that. But what these women did, I think is despicable. And the brother that you mentioned earlier, he was from Atlanta, and he was a top recruit in the nation. Yeah, that kid there. And it was a white woman who said that she raped him, that he raped her. She went through the trial, got on there, lied. I think 6 years he spent in jail. And then all of a sudden she goes, oh yeah, I lied about it. And nothing happened to her. She's not in jail. I don't think he was able to recoup anything financially from her. The last I checked, I haven't seen it.
He was just released, AC, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
but he didn't get. I didn't see that he got anything. In fact, it could even be another dude. It might even be two of these cases that are very similar.
Oh, I'm sure there's dozens and dozens.
I know for a fact the kid in Atlanta got out when he was 26. So I know he didn't get anything. But the Deshaun Watson case, and what's crazy is he's already interviewing with other teams. So what he got, the indictment went away, and as soon as that indictment goes away, he is interviewing with other teams. So was he being paid during this time? I thought he was being paid because he wasn't. Was it a conduct thing? I thought he was being paid. I thought he was on that.
He was getting paid.
Right. No, he got paid. He got paid.
Right. So, but he loses a year of his career, and as soon as the indictment goes away, he's interviewing with the Saints in Carolina, I think. Already.
Carolina.
So that they can talk trades. To me, I think if you notice, all of us sort of couched our words because we're all in very visible jobs as a salesperson, as an independent contractor, finance and education. And you see just how careful we are being in terms of what we say and how we say it. Imagine, right. And that's really the environment. None of us are under indictment for anything. We're nervous simply about talking about the indictment, which if you wrap your mind around that, that's the environment that we're in right now. As men, as women, whatever, this is what we're at in America. To where if you even say the wrong thing, we said the wrong thing here as a show that is building a brand and everything. We say the wrong thing. We're worried about our jobs. in terms of even talking about an event, event that we had nothing to do with. And I think that's when you know some shit got to change at this point. When you can have accusers plead the fifth in the deposition, knowing that what they were claiming isn't true. When you accuse personally, like I said, I personally think that if he was guilty of what he was accused of, rape and assault, that should be a capital offense to me. It's not, but there should be some repercussions for what they did, and it's crazy that there's none.
Absolutely. Tough, man. You know, when we say intersection of sports and culture, we mean it, man. It's hard to remove our culture, Black culture, from sports. You know, these are obviously, you know, we influence the NFL very heavily. We influence sports very heavily, and obviously, we influence our own culture very heavily. It's sometimes difficult to separate them. I appreciate you, brothers, kind of taking your GM hats off and your analyst lapels off, and just being real, man. Again, not just Deshaun, not just Sean Oatman, but all brothers, you know, dealing with these kinds of situations, you know, in unwarranted fashions. Hold your head, man. Hold your head, man. Stay tapped in with the people who love you. It's got to get better. Moving back into the more analytical end of this, he's an elite quarterback. He's an elite quarterback. He's in his mid-20s. His contract doesn't reflect the market of today's QB, so technically he's on sale. Where's he go? Where's he go and why? Where do you guys see him being a good fit? I feel like saying my answer now, but I feel like when I do that as the moderator, I always take someone's answer. So I'm going to let one of y'all have it. Hopefully one of y'all say it because it's pretty obvious. But go ahead. Talk to me. AD, where do you see Deshaun Watson going and why? Where's the best fit for him?
Fortunately, I do think the best fit for him is your Giants. I think they have a lot of nice weapons, young weapons that he can grow with.
We got two top 7 picks too. I don't know if anyone else is watching. Somebody tell him we got 2 top 7 picks. You can have them.
And I think if they could stay healthy, who's that new coach they hired? Who's y'all new coach?
Dable from Buffalo offensive coordinator.
Yeah, if he could get some consistency with that offense and them guys could stay healthy, with Deshaun, I think they could be a playoff team.
Yo, AD, not for nothing, I wasn't excited about the Dayball hiring simply because he built his reputation on a QB as dynamic as Josh Allen. That doesn't work with Daniel Jones. That does, however, work with Deshaun Watson.
It definitely does. And I think, like great point you just brought up, Noah. I think people don't give Deshaun credit for his running ability.
Whew.
I think we looked at Deshaun as just a true black quarterback, right, throwing the ball, but I wouldn't say it's like Russell Wilson, but he does have timely runs.
Right,
I would say that. And I think Deshaun's a superstar. I really do. I'm pulling for him. As a man who lost a year for something that he was falsely accused of. I will say, like AC said, he does have some fault for putting himself in that situation,
right?
Over and over. But innocence is innocence, and to be punished for something that he didn't do, and the misjustice of nothing happening to that lawyer and those, I don't know all 22 women, but some of those women, something should happen. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if all 22 women took the fifth, but I know I read it. They all did. I know. See, that's a problem. That's a problem. Like,
right, absolutely. AC, being a GM, knowing football in the capacity in which you do, where does Watson end up? Where's the best fit for him and why?
Well, I get a couple. To me, the best fit
This one.
is Seattle. And the reason I say that is because they're hippies. They forgive. They're not going to hold him accountable. They just lost Russell Wilson, and if he's going to bring some life to that franchise that is kind of floundering right now.
Mhm.
I just feel culturally Seattle is the best fit for good trades and things like that. You can look at the Giants. I think the Giants is a good landing spot. You can look at the Jets, who might want to trade their young quarterback for a bit more established. Let me finish. For a bit more established quarterback, I think in terms of being in New York, and not being the biggest fish, especially the Jets being the second team in that city, he gets to go there, and it won't necessarily be the burning spotlight that it would be. But I do feel that Seattle, for me, is the best spot. If I'm a GM in New Orleans or Carolina, I lived in Carolina. I'm in Louisiana now. I don't mean to make light of this, but you don't need to put him in the city. You don't need to put him in New Orleans. You don't need to put him in Carolina with the women that they have there, with the party environment that they have there. If I'm a GM, I say, kiss my ass. We are not coming here to New Orleans. We saw what happened with Zion in the other sport, which I predicted would happen. Like, it's in stone. I wrote that. New Orleans is not a place for him. New Orleans is like to be able to have access to some of the things that have access to. He's already shown bad judgment. You're not going to put him there. You certainly don't want to put him in Charlotte. Same situation. Seattle is the place for him. That's what I think.
I like that. I like that for obvious reasons, AC. Well done. LES, where's he go and why?
I'm gonna put my fan hat on here for a second. Yeah, I'm going there, Noah. I'm going there.
Ridiculous.
I'm gonna get my Yahoo hat on. He needs to come to New England.
Pretty
You know,
destroyed.
it needs to happen. It needs to happen. No, you guys can laugh, and it probably won't happen. It probably won't happen, but you guys can laugh because it should happen. And I'll tell you why.
Farrakhan has a better chance of coming here and playing
I'll
quarterback
tell you
for
why.
the New England Patriots.
Think about what Noah. Think about what Aaron Carter just said. Let's just go with Aaron Carter's theory about he shouldn't come to the Carolinas or somewhere like that because of the women. Blah blah. No, he should go to New England and live in Attleboro somewhere. He'll be fine.
Have you
He'll be
seen the
safe.
townies? Have you seen the groupies? Are you crazy?
He should go there.
Yo,
Bill Belichick also
the Cape
has.
Verdean women alone. The Cape Verdean women here alone. It's just no.
I know.
Keep
What's
him in
wrong with
Attleboro.
you?
Keep him in Attleboro.
No.
They
Then
out there
to move,
too, man.
and then to move it further, Bill Belichick has a relationship with people in high places for that organization. Something you give them enough picks, you give them Mac Jones.
Do y'all have any picks?
Yeah, we have some picks. I was actually just looking it up. We have a first, we have a second, we have a third, we have a fourth, we have
And a
sixth.
compensatory for J.C. Jackson, who just ridiculously signed a $80 million contract. You got that pick too.
They're gonna get that from
The
the Chargers.
The Chargers.
Right,
Yeah,
but
so-
those are late first round picks. I don't think you're willing to give up. You know, if you're giving up Deshaun Watson in a trade, you need to haul. And frankly, I don't think you guys have. Hear this. Obviously, y'all know where I'm from. You know who my team is, and of course, I would love to see him in that Pepsi Blue. But you know, it really sounds like we're reloading with Daniel Jones, which is, you know, I don't even want to get into it and make myself angry. But there's a vacancy with another team who wears the same color blue as us, and they play in the Dome, and they're in the AFC, and they have arguably the best running back in football, and they've got a pretty good defense.
Actually, that's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
And I think he could be a really good fit over at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Obviously, Carson Wentz is gone. Carson Wentz is in Washington. There's a huge vacancy there. They're kind of set up to win. They're set up to win now. They have all the pieces. I think they can use another piece. Jarvis Landry just became available, so they can go get a Jarvis Landry. And they have Pittman, and then they have T.Y., and then they have, obviously, Jonathan Taylor, and you added Deshaun Watson to that situation. They have the space in terms of cap. They don't have really any big contracts. JT isn't signed up yet. But I think Obviously, if he doesn't come to the New York Football Giants, I think he would look really good over in Indianapolis. I think that offense is extremely dynamic.
That's good. Like it's the same sort of laid back kind of as Seattle.
Yeah.
They play in the dome. That's a good pick. But what would you? I mean, if you're the Texans, what are you getting from Indianapolis for Watson?
I'm not sure. I don't really follow Indy. I was just thinking in terms of vacancies for QB and in terms of fits. Like I
second that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. That would be my second one after Seattle.
Just me knowing football in terms of like the way the RPO has developed. Imagine the RPO with Deshaun Watson and Jonathan Taylor with that offensive line.
I got one problem, and it has nothing to do with football. Jim Irsay, I just don't trust him, yo. I just don't trust him, man.
He might lavish too much attention on and let him get away with too much.
Man, him and Deshaun gonna get caught, man. He's gonna be stiff.
Get popping pills.
You already know, man. Like, man, it's not a good look, man. Nah.
Yo, let's have a party.
Keep my brother away. Keep my brother away from that man.
You guys are making those arguments, but you know what? You give Texans 2 first round draft picks, one this year, next year, maybe a couple of third round picks this year as well. You give them Mac Jones. Now they have a quarterback, an accurate quarterback that's going to be in the dome.
Stop the New England stuff.
Stop that shit.
All right, hey, I can be a Yahoo every now and then. It's okay. It's okay.
First of all,
let's Yahoo, man.
Yo, Mac Jones just had a great, successful rookie season.
I think you just made it a point why a team would want him. A dome team at that.
No, but why don't you want him?
I don't necessarily believe in him, to tell you the truth, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I don't think his arm strength kind of worries me.
So if you can see that from your couch, I'm sure the Texans can see that. That's where I argue with people when they talk about trades like that.
Well, the thing is, I don't think a lot of football teams.
See, what's wrong with you, dog?
If there was a lot of smart NFL football teams, the Patriots wouldn't have 6 rings in so many years. You know, there's a lot of teams that aren't that smart. They do dumb things. All you got.
I will give you that.
Entice
he's
them.
He's a distressed asset, I guess. So he's a Randy Moss. He's a Corey Dillon. He could be that. I mean, that I'll give you. You know what? I'll take it from 0% to 5% now, based on that. He's a distressed asset, and Patriots are smarter than everybody else. So yeah, okay.
Look, think about 5%. Pittsburgh should go after him. Will they? Probably not.
So
did you just see what Pittsburgh just signed? Did you see who?
No, they signed Trubisky. I think Trubisky's going there.
Oh God. Stupid teams.
I thought Jimmy G was going to go there, but it looks like Jimmy G is going to get himself a 1-year deal over in San Francisco because Trey Lance just ain't ready. Trey Lance ain't ready. We're going to keep it NFL, fellas, because as you know, as we've mentioned, the NFL free agency is upon us, man, and there's some things going on. Patriots just lost J.C. Jackson about 2 hours ago. He's joining Khalil Mack and fucking Joey Bosa in L.A., and Russell Wilson is wishing that he did not agree to go to the fucking AFC West. Bad move on your part, Russ. You got at best you'll be the 3rd best team in that division. The Chargers ain't playing no games, man. The Chargers they took the playbook from the other LA team and let's load up these defensive free agents. We got a high-powered offense. They re-signed what's my man's name? Mike Williams. They re-signed Mike. Keenan Allen's still there. They have a lot of young talent. Herbert is a stud. It's going to be very spooky in the AFC West, man. I feel bad for anyone who has to play them.
Yeah, that's just a juggernaut.
Yeah, straight up. Jacksonville's making some noise.
They all got some pieces.
Jacksonville's making some noise. They just took tight end Evan Ingram from us, 9-year deal, fully guaranteed. Excuse me, not 9 years, $9 million fully guaranteed. They went and got Christian Kirk from Arizona. Yep. They just went and paid what's the guy's name? Schreff. They just paid Schreff. They've been spending some money this offseason so far. The Jets add tight end Uzama from Cincinnati. That was one of Joe Burrow's favorite pieces. the Bucks signed their cornerback. What's the kid's name? The Davis kid.
Carlton Davis.
Yep, they signed him to a 3-year deal. Some names is moving around. Kirk Cousins. I signed a 1 year with. Kirk Cousins is signed. He signed his 1 year with Minnesota. Amari Cooper has been traded to the Cleveland Browns. That move.
Saw that.
Jarvis Landry was released.
Kansas City is a favorite to sign him.
Landry?
Oh,
yeah. Kansas City. Adam Schefter report Kansas City and New Orleans are the favorite. If I'm him, I'm going to Kansas City immediately.
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. I don't know how you don't. Yeah, a lot of names being moved around, man. I'm happy for Jarvis. I've liked Jarvis since LSU.
My fault, fellas.
It's all good. We know you got the TV on, man. I know what you're watching too. I'm about to talk about it. I'm about to talk about it in a second, man. Fellas, of these free agency moves so far, which ones do you believe would be the most impactful? And tell me some others that you forecast happening. Go ahead, Les.
I liked what the Chargers are doing.
Oh yeah. How do you not?
I like what Denver obviously did. You need a quarterback, and they have weapons, and they have a great home field advantage with the Mile High Club Mile High Stadium or whatever it's called.
Listen to you being dirty.
Mile High Club. That's
He's dirty. That's the dirtiest thing he's ever said.
That's a totally different game.
I don't know. I think what we'll really get to see, and we'll really see what's what, and probably when free agency actually is official, I think we'll really get a better idea of who's going to be what potentially about 2-3 days into free agency, because that's the way it always wraps out.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, we'll start seeing more. We'll start seeing things heat up when the draft gets near. The draft.
That's true.
The draft is always the catalyst to madness in NFL free agency. So obviously the Chargers. Any moves that you're forecasting? Les, give me a hot take, man. What else do you see happening?
I actually don't have one for free agency as of yet. I actually thought the Giants would be your team would be a little bit more active. I thought the Patriots would be a little bit more active, and I'm not hearing much. And you never hear anything much from the Patriots as far as making trades and things like that.
You don't have no money or anything.
Right. You just spent 160-something million last year.
People are interested in Shaq Mason. They're reaching out to him, to them for moves. You just gave up J.C. Jackson. So the cap can always be manipulated. It can always be manipulated, and the Patriots are good at that. So, I thought I would hear a little bit more from the Steelers too. The Steelers let people go left and right, and always have a way to replace them. So, I'm gonna wait. I don't really have So Jarvis Landry going to Kansas City, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't really have a hot take on this one, guys.
Okay.
Well,
we just signed another offensive lineman a couple of minutes ago. We just took the starting tackle from Buffalo.
Okay, so things are starting to heat up for you guys then. So because I thought you guys would.
We took Tampa's guard earlier today, and now we just took Buffalo's starting left tackle.
Okay, so you're showing up your offensive line. I guess the question is are y'all gonna really move off of Danny Dimes, and try and get a quarterback there? And who would that quarterback be? Like, I think you have to be all in on Deshaun Watson, because who else would you get?
I mean, the great thing about Watson is he read up right before this bubble kind of happened, with the cap space going up to almost 225. Mm-hmm. So Deshaun Watson is technically on sale. When he signed his deal, he was, I think, top 2 or 3 highest paid in the league. But that was a couple of years ago. So now he's technically playing. He's going to want a new deal in the next year or two anyway. But if we can get him right now where we can afford him, I would definitely mortgage the house for Deshaun Watson right now to get rid of him.
Let's play a Giants GM game for a second.
Let's do it.
Would you give up your running back?
No.
Really?
No.
He's
to get a quarterback of that caliber, you wouldn't give him up and just draft another running back?
No, because our offensive line isn't that great, and if you put even a really good quarterback in a situation where he's totally one-dimensional, it's going to be to his detriment. You have to have a running back worth at least keeping the defense honest, because after Saquon, and if we pay, we can manage Saquon's 5th year and get Daniel Jones, but if we move on from Saquon, The running back market is very thin.
Wasn't your backup pretty good this year?
Devontae Booker is pretty good. Devontae Booker is
Yeah.
pretty good, but he's good in his role. He's not ready for 17 regular season games and a playoff push. His body has never held up like that since college. I'm not. He's good, but he's a backup. He's a really good backup, and I think he knows that. I think he's bought into his role with the team, and I think he's okay with that. And obviously, I mean, when you have Saquon playing, you're going to get called up probably to get some starters time anyway because Saquon is injury prone. But at the same time, man, from playing this game less, I can tell you as a defender, when I know what a team is going to do, the worst thing you can do as an offensive unit is let motherfuckers like me on defense know exactly what you're going to do before you do it. It's going to be a long day for you.
But you should also know that, and we all notice that running backs somehow, some way seems to be a declining asset in the NFL, and you can place one in a draft, or maybe even by free agency that can hold it down to just make teams think there's an opportunity here for a run. And if you can get a quarterback who is going to outplay your running back in years.
But if we get Watson, we won't have those picks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The picks that we need to get a respectable running back, because there's not a lot of running back talent in this draft. This is a very deep draft, but it's not really rich with running backs. And if we go ahead and acquire Watson, we won't have any draft capital to go ahead and land anyone worth getting. So technically we don't have to. We have some pretty bad contracts. I was listening to we're supposed to be freeing up some more cap space. The number for us was 40 mil. We wanted to free up 40 mil. And realistically, that's only like our top 2 contracts, because our top 2 contracts aren't even our top 2 best players. We've got a defensive lineman making like $20-something million or some crazy shit. But I wouldn't do it.
Brady, you're terrible. You always laughing at us.
But I would mortgage everything. I mean, the future, all these draft picks, we have great draft capital right now. We have 2 top 7 picks. I give those 2 up. I give up next year's first round shit if need be, and whatever ancillary pieces that we needed to include and to make that deal work. Why not? And just to keep him in the NFC where it's kind of easy, as AC pointed out earlier. AC, talk to me about a move that has happened that you think is going to be impactful, and then kind of forecast another move that you see coming down the pipeline.
Well, I don't think anybody can argue with what the Chargers have done. It is like that shit just looks good. Like there's really when we try to spin the mic and go over different things. There's really nobody else to talk about, at least right now, except what the Chargers have done. One, because you know what the quarterback can do. You know what they did last year. I think we had a show where they played Baltimore and things like that, and we couldn't decide if they were good. They're one of those teams that are on the cusp. And I think my point was a couple of the games that they had was going to tell us if they were good, and they ended up losing, ended up not being that good. But you could see that that's a team that if they figure it out, it's going to be dope. The move that I'm following, both from a gambling standpoint and just as a fan, is Christian McCaffrey going to Buffalo. There's been big, huge buzz about that. They're talking about trading for him. At first, it was the Buffalo safety going to Carolina. Then Carolina got scared now that Watson's I guess pretty much it was a done deal. But now that Watson might have a chance to go there, they think maybe holding on to McCaffrey might work better with Watson. But if Christian McCaffrey goes to Buffalo, I think that changes the entire AFC. It really does, because
if he can stay
right. But to me, you put a running back like that. I followed McCaffrey since Stanford.
Yep.
He to me, he's one of those players that isn't fragile. He's had some bad coaching to where you have this asset, you have this player, you do not run him 30 fucking times a game. Right. It doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure that he weighs less than everybody on this panel.
Between the tackles too, AC.
Right. They're running this dude like he's Saquon Barkley. They're running him like he's Henry. It makes no sense. And then when they don't run him, they throw him the ball in the flat so that he's not getting hit by cornerbacks. He's getting hit by linebackers. And then when he gets hurt, they blame him.
Right.
I'm all for, I'm one to be very strong on players and blame them for dumb shit. But this is not his fault. Like, if you watch Carolina, the dude was out for a couple of games. He comes back, and the idiot coach goes, "Oh yeah, off tackle. Oh yeah, whim play up the middle." When the announcer's talking about, oh, he must really feel good. They're doing whams, and then crunch like the old Madden. Is a man down. Like, I'm watching the game. Like, what the fuck are they doing? And they're running this dude. So, the Buffalo coach is not an idiot. I think, he did get emasculated versus New England, and that'll never change ever. That ridiculous game where they ran the ball 3 times, but he knows what he's doing. And you put Christian McCaffrey in his skill set with the skill set that Allen has, who can essentially function as a running back if he felt like it. That is a tough team. And you look at a team in Buffalo that isn't scared of Kansas City. If San Diego, I just mentioned San Diego. If San Diego has to go to Buffalo in the winter, they're not winning. You might as well, scratch them off. Buffalo becomes the favorite in a very tough AFC. I have no idea what New England will do. I'm going to predict that the over/under for wins will start at 12 just because it's New England. But I would be hard pressed to take that bet. 12 wins for New England. Kansas City. I don't know what's going to happen with Mahomes. I joke that he just got married to. I'm not going to say it on the air, but I think what I feel about that. That's going to affect him. That's going to affect him a lot. I wish I could say it on the air, but that's going to affect it. That's going to affect him a lot. So I'm not confident in Kansas City. I think we saw all this filleting of Andy Reid, but people forgot that Andy Reid has blown games in the past. He blew games versus the Patriots. He blew games versus Tampa Bay. He blew a game last year. He blew a game with Philadelphia. He's still Andy Reid. And I think really, to me, you can't ignore the Chargers. But if McCaffrey goes to Buffalo, I want to see what Buffalo does. The one bad thing, the contract for J.C. Jackson is idiotic. They gave a kid $40 million. He's 26 years old. He's playing in the Belichick system, and there's never been a free agent that's left New England on a big contract that has succeeded that I can think of off the top of my head. The closest was Asante Samuel, and he never reached the heights. He never played up to his contract.
Seymour played well in Oakland.
Who?
Seymour.
He was not all-pro defensive tackle Richard Seymour in Oakland. They got a first-round pick for him, but he was not Richard Seymour. Ty Law, Lord Millard, nobody played well. No free agent, especially Tully Banta-Kane, the linebacker who they just released, who went to Miami on the big contract. The other linebacker who went to Detroit. Nobody has left New England and done well. I don't understand why the Chargers did that. It looks good. Yeah, Tully Banta-Kane. I think a lot of people. He's friends on Facebook with a bunch of people, around the way.
Yeah. He's cool.
Tell him. I know those dudes all used to come to my parties.
Yeah, none of the guys who've gone away. But I really do think the NFC is not worth mentioning, except to talk about Brady and Rodgers. I hadn't heard what you said about Kyler Murray wanting $80 million or what have you. If he does, this kid's getting some bad advice. The way that he behaved after the playoff game, I felt was disgraceful. Yeah, it was really disgraceful. And if he really thinks
you're right about that,
if he really thinks he's going to be the highest paid player ever, having done nothing, having lost the way that he's lost, and I think you see where his head's at, and he's not worth it. So NFC is nothing. The AFC, and if Indy gets any sort of semblance of quarterback, say Indy gets Jimmy, for example. How do they look then? I think the AFC, in terms of not only the AFC really good, but each division. So you've got the AFC East. That's a good division. AFC South, good division, and you've got some players to watch. Like, I'm curious to see what the Jacksonville kid can do.
The one seed out of the AFC last year is from the South.
Right.
Word.
You've got the Titans coming back. You've got the AFC West, which is dope.
So
Uh,
toughest division in football.
Mhm.
every division in the AFC is interesting. So
Yeah,
like you can't
definitely.
if you told me New England might win the AFC East, I believe you. If you said Chargers could win the AFC West,
I
they
believe you.
go into Kansas City, that's true. If you said you don't know who's gonna if you said Indy wins their division. That's possible too. To me, that's dope. That's a dope as opposed to like the NBA East, which isn't hard at all. But the AFC is division in the free agent thing. I'm watching Philly. I'm watching Philly right now blow this game. The NBA is
Y'all,
trash.
Wait. We're gonna
no,
get to
no,
it.
Trash.
We're gonna get to it.
nah, nah, live bet hit. Thank you. Called it. Got him.
AD, give me a move that you think is going to be the most profound, and give me something that you're kind of eyeing in the pipeline, a potential move that you see happening.
I think a potential move that's happening that will happen, but I don't know who's gonna go there. I think Cleveland will be done with Baker Mayfield. Um,
They're trying to talk to Deshaun Watson.
right. Baker's out of there. Baker's
Mm.
out of there.
What's the most impactful move that you think has happened so far?
It just gotta be. I'm in agreement with everybody. Like it just gotta be the collective moves that the Chargers is making.
Yeah, there's no way around
It's just
it.
like it's like everybody
If you
like
said anything other than that, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy.
yeah like
Right.
like they're at an A and like the next team is at like a C plus.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So, fellas, here's I guess my hot take, and I don't know if you guys have been watching this. I know we're talking about Kyler being unhappy, but Lamar Jackson isn't returning phone calls to the Baltimore Ravens press.
Wait, what?
Lamar
Where'd this
Jackson is
come
not
from?
returning phone calls. Oh, this has been it's been on the news.
The last week, yeah, last week. I know
I hadn't
that.
seen that.
Yeah,
He's heading into a contract. He needs a new contract, and
Oh.
he has not been returning their calls. I think it's fair to say that he's upset. He hasn't been. He's watching all these players get all this help. He's watching Josh Allen potentially get Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, he's seen Mahomes get loaded up. He's seen. He's literally sitting back watching his phone go off, and everything is for Justin Herbert's benefit, and nothing coming his way. You know, there were. He still has no running back. He still has no receivers, and they haven't extended him. So. I think he's got a little bit of a reason to not answer those phone calls. I'm sure the young brother's frustrated. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't pay him, if they don't want to pay him, and he gets moved around. I would love Lamar Jackson in Pepsi Blue, if I could just be frank with y'all. But the other part to the question is obviously Los Angeles Chargers, man. What they're doing to fortify their team is going to pay dividends, and I'm sure of that. Really signing really good players. Fellas, we're gonna hop off the NFL train real quick because I didn't even realize what was happening tonight. We got a clash of the Titans, at least on paper. The two best centers in the league going at it. I just want to spin the mic really quick and get y'all take on who is the best center in the league. I'm sure it's one of the two gentlemen playing against each other currently. AD, go.
I got the Pilgrim Joker.
Why do you take Nicola, AD?
Nicola can beat you without scoring. MD has to score to beat you.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair point. AC then less.
I don't know. I think it's a tie. I do agree that Jokic can beat you without scoring, but Embiid when he wants to, like he just pinned the shot. If I had to pick, if I'm picking a team, I'm picking Joker first. But I actually, you know what? Yeah, I think he's a better player when I really think about it. Yeah. I think he's a better player. Like if I'm picking the team to win, I'm picking Joker first. I will say though that I predicted that this trade was stupid. You're seeing the results of what's happening when you have a James Harden type of fraud on your team. The fact that like you saw at the beginning of this game, Embiid came out like gangbusters. It looked like he was playing to win the MVP versus Jokic.
When we
And
started this podcast, they were up 18.
yeah, it looked like it looked like one of those games where Embiid came out and was like, look, I'm gonna show everybody. He knows it's a national game. But Philly is not good. This was one of the worst trades I've ever seen. To where you make your biggest opponent, your biggest rival better than you, and you make yourself worse versus everybody else.
They didn't make
And you're
themselves
seeing
worse.
they're worse. They were a better team.
Better, but they didn't make themselves worse.
No.
The reason why AC's saying that because they took the depth from the team.
Right.
Right.
The extra shooting. If pretty much if Harden has a bad night, they're going to lose.
Right.
They're going to lose. It like they're not gonna again, if you're talking about the process, I build my team to win 4 out of 7 games. I don't build my team for the regular season. Are you telling me that this team with Embiid and Harden can win 4 games in the playoffs? I don't trust them versus even the Celtics. I don't trust them versus the Nets. I don't trust them versus Milwaukee. I don't trust them versus any of the teams. Pretty much, I think they can beat Atlanta. I think they can beat Cleveland. Everybody else, I'm not 100% that this Philly team would win 4 games. And Jokic is a better player. I think neither of them are MVP, but I think this game fully illustrates. Some idiot in the group was questioning why I said that it was a bad trade after they lost to the Nets. And this is exactly why, and this is why he's an idiot, because you don't look at the team as a whole. Embiid is a great player. Harden is a very good player. But together, together they don't mesh. And I bet the under. I bet the under. So I need this game to stay under 224 right now. And right now is what is that? It's 220.
220.
Right. So I need this to stay under. But yeah, now when I think about it, Jokic is a better player, and Philly sucks. It was a horrible trade. Horrible trade.
So
you guys are so unprofessional. I'm not even watching the game. I'm only kidding. I wish I was.
Horrible.
TV's behind me.
Now,
Philly's got the ball down for it. I can't wait for them. Just keep it under 224. I don't care.
It's about to go to 224 right now, AC.
Yeah,
Damn.
he's going to the line. Les, who do you got? Joker or Embiid? Why?
Oh, I got Joker, and I didn't even have to think about it. Oh yeah, I mean Embiid's got the stats and all that other stuff, but Joker is available. He's always available. He doesn't talk. He shows up. He plays. He doesn't give the other team bullet board material. He's tough. He's not a sucker. He's not gonna. He showed that you're not just gonna push him. He's gonna push you back. He doesn't need to be more importantly, he doesn't need to be motivated by Shaq and Charles Barkley every other month on TNT or by someone saying he's playing soft or whatever the case is. He doesn't need to be motivated. No. And by the way, I brought this up last week, and actually not even last week. I brought this up a couple times, and I feel like this pushback with this Harden thing. I saw this on TV the other day. Harden's last 8 games facing elimination, he's 1-7.
1-7, 23 points.
Field goal is under 40%. 3-pointers is under 25%.
Yeah.
And point. I don't even understand what. It's turnovers. 6 turnovers a game. 6.3 turnovers a game in elimination games. So I don't trust Harden.
Yeah. Now I'll piggyback off what you just said, Les. So he averaged 23.8 in those 8 games. He shot 38%. He shot 25.6% from the 3. And like you said, he had 6 turnovers.
Now, I'll say this.
And tonight, he is laying another egg.
And he looked like shit against the Nets the other night, too.
Kyrie got him real. He kind of exposed him to me.
Now,
he didn't expose him. He was already bad.
I'm going to say
didn't
this.
expose him. We already knew.
Fred Hennessy. Haven't seen him post in a while.
Tonight, Harden, 24 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. He's almost 60% from the floor. That's not laying an egg.
Right. If you watch the game, then you know what we're talking about when you point out those stats.
Listen. Call it what you want, but 24, 11, and 9 and almost 60% from the floor is not laying an egg.
If you watch the game, you would have seen those stats were empty. You love empty stats. You love them. You can't get enough of them.
Like Noah, like when I went like this, you didn't know that James Harden just turned over the ball and just cost them the game.
I can see it, AD. I've been watching it.
All right. So this, and so then,
that's a 70-inch, man.
I know you got the TV in the back, but I didn't know you could see it. Why? You know what I'm saying? It's facing you.
If you look at my square, AD, I'm watching it in my square.
Yeah, I can't see it. I can't see it in your square. I
okay.
see the back of your TV.
Harden's stats does not translate to what we saw on the screen. Right. So the same way we mentioned it last week, when you look up and Kevin Durant's got 40 points, you're like, oh shoot, how did he get 40? The same thing happens on the flip side. The same thing happens when you think a guy is having a good game, but when you're looking at it, you're like, no, he's not. This is not who they did not trade for Harden. They did not trade an all NBA point guard, even though they had the issues. They did not trade two other starting players to be losing to Denver on a national TV game at home. That's not what the trade was for. And Harden is not living up. I mean, it's amazing that Morey was able to get anybody for him, but I would have gotten so many other players over Harden to fit with Embiid. And Harden has not lived up. I mean, he's going to make, I think, over $500 million in his NBA career. And how many of those points were meaningful? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. No, it's not.
Hey, can I ask you guys a quick question?
Hold on, Les. I will say in the argument of best center, I gotta go with that. I gotta go with Joker. I have to go with Joker. I'm a big Embiid fan, just in terms of the skill set and again the aesthetic.
Push.
But you got
the push.
You can't let the aesthetic override the fact. You can't let your feeling get in the way of the facts. I'm going to keep it NBA because I don't even know what to make of this. I know AC doesn't want to talk about it, but we need to. I don't even know what to make of this. I don't. Obviously, AC does want to. As you can see, AC's whiteboard in the background. He absolutely
no. This is to go against whatever you're going to talk about an under 500 team. And a player that plays half the time.
They're plus 500 now.
Yeah, a 500 team then. They're not worthy. A non-playoff team, let me put it that way. A non-playoff team gets all this attention.
So, fellas, what are we making of this, man? Because I just watched Kyrie Irving sit courtside with no mask on all weekend
attention in
the Barclays Center. He watched, obviously, his alma mater. Well, not technically his alma mater. He watched the Duke game. He didn't graduate, but that's okay.
He barely attended 9 games, please.
So that's what he played, but he attended 9 months, man.
Jesus Christ.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Fellas, one mic. We watched Kyrie sit courtside 2 days in a row in the same arena that he cannot play in. Eric Adams has to figure something out because the optics of this are looking sillier and sillier by the day. The man is in there breathing good Barclays air with no mask on, courtside, dapping up the players, hanging out with everyone. But then they fine us $50,000 for Kyrie going into the locker room. If the protocol is for safety, how is he more dangerous breathing with a mask on in certain parts of and not the main arena? Like, I don't know. My grandfather lived on Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn for 40 years. So we don't know what to make of this at this point. It really boils down to, is this like a power thing? Is someone just trying to flex their muscles to say like, but I don't. It looks ridiculous. It looks absolutely ridiculous to tell this man that he cannot play on the same court he can sit courtside at with no mask on for health and safety reasons. KD called out Eric Adams and said, "You better figure something out."
Why?
I think it was. I don't think KD has the cachet, if you will, to call out.
Oh my God.
Of a major metropolitan.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I'm not going to demonize the messenger when the message is accurate, because what are you doing at this point, New York? Like, what are you doing? What is the mayor of New York doing in terms of trying to maintain these mandates when they make fucking no sense? Say he can't come in the building at all, and then I think we'd all feel a little better. But to sit there, watch him sit courtside, dap players up, hug coaches with no mask on, him and his friends and family, but he can't take 2 more steps across the line and suit up. It's a joke at this point. It's a fucking joke at this point. And Eric Adams better do something about it. Les, I got the cash to say it.
So you're gonna make me wait, so I'm just gonna. I might interrupt some people.
Can I skip
so
my
go ahead,
turn
Les.
and let,
Oh,
and
no.
let Aaron? Can I let
No,
Aaron
go ahead, Les.
go?
No, we let Aaron boil over. Go
Oh,
ahead.
you're
Les.
terrible.
I know how to do this.
I don't think it. My stance hasn't changed on this. To me, it doesn't. The whole thing doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't get a lot of things about this entire situation. So I don't know what the NBA is doing. I don't know what the Nets are doing. Heck, I don't know what the mandate's doing. You can come from other places and play, but if you live there, you can't play. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Either not let them in the building, period. But if you can, or let them play. That's just my stance, really. And I'm hoping Aaron has something juicy to sway me so I could be like F Kyrie, because But honestly, it is what it is. I mean, these are the rules that we have right here. I wonder why the player union isn't protesting this, or are they protesting this in secret?
Because has nothing to do with
It has nothing to do with the NBA.
There's nothing for them to protest.
Yeah, it has everything to do with the laws and regulations of the state of New York
City. It's just New York City. It's ridiculous.
So, but I thought I heard, and you guys can correct me, because I probably heard wrong, but I thought I heard it like the entity, the business, could change that. Is that not the case?
No, we can pay a $5,000 fine within the mandate, within the legislation of the mandate. There is a penalty that you can absorb. It's a $5,000 penalty if you are going to override the city's mandate. The reason we haven't opted into it is because of the optics. There are construction workers, there are municipalities, there are hundreds and thousands of New York City employees that had sacrificed their very livelihoods to object to the mandates and not take this experimental vaccine. And the optics of it would be really bad if you allow a privileged person like Kyrie Irving to pay a $5,000 fine, which means absolutely nothing to him or the Nets organization. Is a drop in the bucket when everyone can't do so. I do believe this, though. I do believe that we will pay that fine if there's no resolution come playoff time. That's what I'm hearing from having conversations with folks at Nets practice as early as earlier today.
Is there any possible way that they're not paying this fine either because they really don't want that much mileage on Kyrie? They want him fresh for the playoffs potentially.
No, we're less than a month away from the playoffs. We've got 15 games left. That he's rested all season. We're at a point now where we really didn't want to go that route. Believe you me, the organization has been in constant communication with Eric Adams in his office almost on a daily basis. That's a fact. We're being told that it's going to work itself out come playoff time. Come playoff time, we are totally anticipating whatever.
Sounds kind of convenient. Sounds like a conspiracy to me.
I mean, because it's not all Eric Adams. If it was all up to Eric Adams, he would have waived his shit when they took off the first mandate on the 7th.
Okay.
He is actually rooting for Kyrie. He wants Kyrie to play, but it's not an executive decision he can make. They're proper channels that he has to go through. But again, what I'm hearing out of Nets practices recently as this morning, he is going to be able to play legally by the playoffs. Okay. And if not, then we will likely exercise that penalty option.
It's a damn shame.
AC, let me take the lid off.
No, there's no lid. There are some things that don't make any sense, but the whole shutting down the world doesn't make any sense. I don't know why people keep saying, "Oh, it's not this, it's not that." None of this shit makes sense. But you're talking about a city that between death and people leaving lost 10% of their population. 10% in New York, up and left. after because of this virus. Regardless of if it made sense or not, Kyrie is a fucking employee. As a lifelong manager, he has got to do what other employees do. His teammates have done what they had to do. Him choosing yesterday and him choosing to not sit in the luxury box, him choosing to enter during the second quarter of a nationally televised game and walk in with a loud ass jacket, make sure that his girl wore a mask and he didn't. Sit there at courtside, woof it up, and do all that after the game to sit amongst all these potentially sick people or whatever, then walk on the court. Walk on the court, no mask, dap up KD, when in full view of the national cameras, when him and both punk ass KD at times, oh, I just want to play ball. I'm not trying to draw attention to myself. That was done solely to draw attention to him. It was about him, which has been his entire career. Then go into the locker room and get the fine, which I'm sure that they were aware of that he was doing, because anybody from security, anybody from the Nets could have been like, yeah, Kyrie, what the fuck? So that whole thing, this whole thing seems contrived to me. The entitlement of Durant saying, telling the mayor of New York City to work on some shit so that Kyrie Irving, a point guard for the Nets, the second team in the city, not even the first team in the city, the second team in the city, the second team, right there, the stepbrother, the redheaded stepchild.
When the last time they beat us?
And that's another thing. That's another thing. They have fans like yourself who are referring to the Nets as we. Jersey. You're referring to them as we. The whole Kyrie situation, as I said, is an absolute joke.
Minneapolis.
This is great.
They should not be able to claim those 5 championships that Minnesota got.
Minneapolis.
Period.
Are they Minneapolis?
But sticking to Kyrie. This whole thing, and as predict, one of the interesting things for me, just in terms of a basketball standpoint, is Kyrie. Every other year of his career, he's had a major injury. This happened to be the year that he was due to be hurt this year, and being able to take off. Being able to take off the entire year and actually, not play and come in fresh for the playoffs, that's a real competitive advantage for the Nets. Indirectly, that's and people are ignoring this fact. You now have, and all jokes aside, I do think Kyrie's a fraud. If he was standing in front of me, you all know that I would tell him so. And I know that his bitch ass wouldn't do anything. But all those things, please. All those things. Wait, let me finish. All those things aside, Kyrie's talent and basketball skill is undeniable. So now you have a 25-point-a-game point guard or shooting guard, essentially, coming in fresh. Doesn't have to go through the rigors of the season. All he has to do is take the ball from one of the few players on earth who might be softer than him. All he has to do is take the ball from a 6'10" defensive dynamo in Ben Simmons and score. He doesn't have to worry about defending. He can now play second fiddle to his heart's content, to Durant. All the pressure is off him. This puts the Nets, the most despicable team in the history of team sports, in a position to win a title. And I think a lot of people like yourself and other people who are caught up in the emotion of it are ignoring the basketball advantage that this is indirectly given the Nets, because you have a glass player who essentially got to take a season off, not hurt, but comes in fresh for the playoffs. And it's going to be harder to beat a team with Simmons, with Kyrie, and with Durant, who are fresh. I fully believe that Kyrie, the percentage of Kyrie getting hurt is very high, but it helps that the fact that he's gone down. And basketball-wise, and people keep getting caught up with should he play, blah, blah, blah. No, he shouldn't. That's the fucking rules. He's an attention-seeking clown. But basketball-wise, it is fantastic for the Nets It just is an advantage that a lot of lazy fans aren't talking about because they're caught up in emotion. Like I think the Nets are despicable, but basketball wise, will I bet on them in the first round if they're going against a Philly, if they're going against Cleveland, if they're going against Boston? Hell yeah, of course I am. So basketball wise is very interesting for me to see. We should not be talking about a non-playoff team. We should not be talking about a fraud in Kyrie Irving, but it's a good basketball wager that I would make on it.
AD, what did Kyrie recently say about these Boston fans sounding like scorned ex-girlfriends?
It's nothing to do with Boston.
Exhibit A.
He was a joke. He was a joke before he came to Boston, and it's written. You could put the screenshots if you want. I said the same thing before he came to Boston.
AC, as much as I love you, sometimes I'm not sure which end of you was talking. If it's your ass on camera.
Everything I say is measurable and quantifiable.
You said you yahoos are emotional. It's your turn, though.
You are.
Go fight back. Fight back.
You just said
we did this and we did that. Yeah, right.
You just said this was the year he was supposed to get hurt, and then
it is.
In the same breath, you tell me everything you say is quantifiable.
No, you can look it up. Hold on, wait. Did you not pay me because I bet that he would get hurt last year? Yes,
I paid you because you're a low life.
Did I? Hold on, wait. Did I take a young lady out? Yeah. Did I take a young lady out on your money? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Apple Pay. So
did a young lady get extra appetizers because of you? Absolutely, she did. So there you go.
We went to Red Lobster.
We bet on the Nets.
Hell no, Brown Sugar Cafe.
Jaylen Brown was out. I waived the bet. That's that.
No. Jaylen Brown was out. You tagged me up and down. Hey, look, we're about to win. I can't wait to spend your money. I said, go ahead, keep talking. I just sat silent like Brady. Just let you talk your shit. and then, because I knew what was inevitable. I knew Harden. I knew one of them would get hurt. I knew Harden would get hurt. I knew Durant would get hurt. I knew Kyrie would get hurt.
The Nets versus Boston. That was the original bet.
No, you took away. We shouldn't even talk about that. Let him go. I don't even want to get into it. Let him say his piece.
You all gotta recognize when something's good TV, and this was good TV. Y'all need to keep going.
Let him say his piece.
After AC's long tirade coming from which end of his body, we're not sure. Sometimes the ass makes more sense than the mouth with Aaron.
The Nets are a joke.
Pause, maybe? Maybe pause? Sort of pause?
He's absolutely correct. Our entire backcourt will be coming in fresh. Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. Very little this season. Very fresh legs coming into the postseason. Perfect to run his team out of the playoffs for the second consecutive year in a row. And then finish what we started last year and win this next NBA title. I'm super excited. I just can't hide it, AC. We are poised. We are poised to hurt a lot of feelings. I love being in this position. I love we're in the play-in. And guys like Aaron Carter asking why are we talking about the Brooklyn Nets. You know exactly why we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets.
Because you're the moderator. That's why. That's why we're talking about under 500-ass team. Non-playoff team.
The same reason you just said you would wager your money on them because you know they will eviscerate the Eastern Conference. And then
I said I'm comfortable making that bet. I did not say I know. I said I'm comfortable.
Eviscerate anyone in the Eastern Conference quite easily at that.
If they get there healthy, maybe.
I mean that's every team. No team's going to win if they're not healthy.
That's not true, but go ahead.
It's the absolute truth. But nonetheless. Eric Adams, I'm going to call you out again. You got to do something. We need it done expeditiously, as the legendary Clifford Harris, a.k.a. T.I. would say.
The second team. If he had to do anything, then he should do something for the Knicks before he did anything for the Nets that don't even exist.
The only thing you can do for the Knicks is to show up in a nice black suit for the funeral every time they play it. That's what you do.
Brooklyn turned Marcy projects into condos. It's a joke of a borough.
Yo,
SNT Podcast. You already know what time it is. Make sure you tap into everything we got going on. AC just got zapped. I had to mute him real quick. Brooklyn, you already know what it is. Shout out to my man Skunk. SNT Sports across all social media platforms. SittingTallSports.com. Make sure you hit up Commish, get your merch, man. Rep the gang properly. Check us out over on Clubhouse, man. LES, AD, AC, your man Noah. More flowers to my brother AD. AD, we love you. We're proud of you. Congratulations on your masters. Sit and Talk Podcast. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it, fellas.
You already.
Joke over Burrow.